travel ball is kind of getting underway everywhere. I think a lot of them adjusted tournaments, but most of our incoming freshmen have some sort of travel ball at least to play, which is good because a lot of them didn't have any high school season at all. I think we've got now 7 or 8 guys that are playing in the Northwoods League, but that's like these guys said, that's a totally different setup where they're maybe only going to play against 2 or 3 other teams. So it's a little bit tricky. And then we've probably got about a third of our guys where whether they're working, whether they're in a location where it's hard to play, whether they've got a family member who's a little bit of an exposure risk that aren't playing. And so it'll be interesting when we get back in the fall because everybody's going to be in a little bit different spot. But it's good to see at least some things are getting going so some of these guys can get playing. Other questions for these guys? If you want to jump in, just tap your unmute button there and fire away at them.
Zach and Chase, I got a question for you too. So as being senior leaders this upcoming year, with a Christmas break that's abnormally long since you guys are out on Thanksgiving, how are you going to monitor, make sure all those incoming freshmen, and even the freshmen this past year, and even yourselves, keeping yourselves accountable over that long period of time?
Yeah, for people that haven't seen that, we're starting school 2 weeks earlier. These guys are going to be on their own from Thanksgiving all the way until about January 10th.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Jason. I think we'll probably definitely have to be within the rules for what even within the team we're allowed to tell each other what we need to do. But I think by that time we will have half of the whole semester to kind of get people bought in. And I really hope, and I don't think that it should be an issue trying to get anybody to do the things they need to do so that they can come back better in January.
I also think that we've all had good practice, kind of this whole quarantine break of how to do things by yourself and how to do things, how to hold each other accountable. And I think Coach Bishop has found a couple ways to, include everyone and do stuff. So I would say, it's going to be, you're holding yourself accountable. And if we're going to be successful, then our weakest link's got to be working as hard as our strongest person. So we really want to be good. And I think Coach Bishop gives us portrays that message. If we want to be really good, then you're going to have to put in the work. And I know, because, being here for 4 years and being old, that it's a lot of work, but Coach Bishop gives us a great way to understand how many hours there are in a day and how many hours you have left to, put extra work into baseball and school, and you can still have a social life. So we understand that a lot better now. And I think over that break, we're just going to have to understand every day, if you want to get better, you have to, prioritize what is important to you.
Definitely.
Anything else for these guys?
Hey, Jordan, this is Jay Fillion.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, I had a chance this spring when I was out in Las Vegas to watch you guys play the 4-game series out there. And if anybody on the phone here hasn't seen let's say the new era of CMU baseball under Jordan play, you really got to grab a couple guys and go to some games when you can. It is an absolute team sport, and a lot of us have won championships. We've been on great teams, but the amount of energy that these teams bring to the field, you could see it in the tournament run last year, but when you're seeing it live, it's really something different. And if you can get to a game, bring some people, bring some buddies or whatever, I got to tell you, it's a real fun day to watch these guys play, and very competitive. Never ever stop wanting to win. But it's all 30-some guys or whatever the roster is. It's really incredible. So it's been a while since I've been to a game, but it's exciting to see. So I really encourage everybody to try to support the team this next year if you can. I really would be great.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate the kind words, Jay. one thing you have to keep in mind is you have to have that spirit. When you give up a touchdown in the first inning like we did, you're going to have a lot of energy to find your way back from it. But no, I appreciate it. And for guys on the call, Jay spoke to our team that weekend about kind of what CMU baseball means and some of the history and how it kind of extends beyond the championships to the relationships and the number of people who follow these guys. And if you have a chance to come out and see us, I think what I love about these guys, if you spend 20 minutes with a guy like Chase, like Zach, you know, you're going to realize they're awfully good people behind, you know, inside of the uniforms. And I think that's what leads to some of that stuff. I can't tell you guys, you know, I know how much pride there is in our program. These guys are representing you guys really well on and off the field, just in terms of how much they care about it and how much they invest in it. And that's what makes it so easy for me to coach this thing is, you know, the last 50, 60, 70 years of this, it's just kind of been an ongoing thing. And these guys have really represented it well and should be really proud of themselves.
Thank you.
Hey, Jordan, how much did you pay Jay to make that nice little comment?
But budgets are tight, but we found a few dollars under the table. So.
Well, it was kind of the opposite. I think I bought you guys about 20 pizzas, if I remember.
He's not lying. So, but
Jordan.
what happens, Jay, is you're kind enough to do us a favor, and then I'm the one that probably gets blamed for the pizza probably wasn't good enough for these guys. They wanted, but then they blame me for it. I'm sure.
Yeah, it was worth a try.
No, I can't. Jay did an awfully. That was a great amount of time. You know, 15, 20 minutes before one of our games that I think really helped these guys see how many people have really dumped a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this thing.
Yeah, that was I remember that really well. I was actually just thinking that when I was talking about the experience down at Mississippi State, I remember Jay said that that we reminded him of what it was like when he was there, and that was just really cool because that really only happens if you get a group of guys who can come together and love each other, and it really baseball comes second to just hanging out, having fun, and doing things the right way.
Jordan, Dave Keilitz here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm glad you woke up during that.
Yeah, thank you. You put me to sleep many a day. You've got all your players back except Xavier, plus the incoming freshmen. So we've got greater numbers than we've ever had. Will you do anything different in fall ball as far as your practices and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, based on social distancing guidelines, we'll probably have to practice at 6 or 7 different fields. That'll be the starting point. But no, we are going to have to plan a little bit differently. I have not planned a whole lot yet because I think I'm still waiting on guidance from the school on making sure we're keeping these guys safe, making sure we're spreading them out. But, you know, there's going to be such a big dichotomy. We're going to have some freshmen who didn't even have a senior year of high school. And then you're going to have some guys like Zach who have been playing, you know, in CMU since the 80s. And it's a tough mix. You've got a lot of different. So we're going to have to get creative with giving these guys experiences that fit what they need in their experience level and then keeping more guys involved, having 40 plus guys. One positive is before I was at CMU, I spent 6 years at the NAIA and Division II levels, and we were always encouraged to carry as many guys as we could. We were at really small schools where enrollment was critical. I mean, I've been a part of teams that carried over 60 guys, and even though that's not ideal, it's going to make it a lot easier to handle a roster that's in the low 40s this fall. But we'll have to get creative. We'll have to do some things differently when you're carrying, you know, 6, 8 guys that you haven't done in the past. And I think I'm just waiting to see, you know, where the health and safety side is before we really plan that out. But it's going to take a lot of leadership from guys like Zach and Chase too, to make sure these young guys feel involved. It's going to be a little bit overwhelming to see that big group on day one. And it's going to impact every team when they get to spring. There's no more playing time to go around, but there's more players to give it to. So the team that, kind of like last year's team, checks their egos at the door, wants to win, wants to work together, and doesn't worry too much about their own personal, you know, achievements, is they're going to have a huge leg up. And it's pretty exciting because our guys have been so good with that I think we have a better chance than most programs to handle that pretty well.
Hey, Coach, Dan Griesbaum. This question might be more for you, although I think it was Chase mentioned that he redshirt at one point also. How do you view potential red shirts? As far as when you decide to make that move. I redshirted my freshman year, and I was just thinking about how if this pandemic had happened my senior year, I would have a real decision on my hands as to whether or not I'd come back for a sixth year. That might be a little much. So just in general, I was wondering, do you not redshirt a guy if he's going to have any kind of role whatsoever, or do you look for a guy to start if you don't redshirt him, that kind of thing? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think what I try to do is probably different than a lot of programs where what I really do is I outline for our athlete, I just tell him what I foresee his role being, and then I say, what do you want to do with it? So, a year ago, we had a couple of freshmen that were kind of in that situation. Ryan Palmblad was one of our pitchers, and I told him, Ryan, you may only get 3, 4, 5 innings all year. What do you want to do? And I don't want to use your year and have you get to the end of the year and say that wasn't worth my year of eligibility. Now, Ryan's a guy who said, Coach, I want to run with it. I plan on graduating in 4 years, and he pitched so well. He ended up being a key guy, and I don't know what he had, probably 30 innings last year. But we also had a freshman, Garrett Willis, in the same situation, who ended up with some injury stuff and maybe only pitched 8 or 10 innings. But I think for those guys, what made it worthwhile was it was their decision. They knew now if I tell a guy, where it gets a little tricky is we play so many road games early and we can't travel our full roster. So if a guy's not going to have an ability to travel the first 25 games of the season, generally a redshirt year is going to make more sense. But for me, I'm not the ones paying the bill. I'm not the ones trying to plan out, is this a 4-year thing? Is it a 5-year thing? So it's really an individual kind of decision. We had that situation, we had Xavier catching a little bit this year, and then Griff was pretty good. So we're in a really good spot with catching, but we had 3 freshman catchers, and they were all pretty close. And so we had that conversation, and 2 of them decided to go ahead play and had limited playing time, and one of them decided to redshirt. But it was really the decision once they knew the role for them. That'll be a big deal this year because we bring everybody back, and we've got all freshmen coming in. I would have expected most of those freshmen to play a role of some sort right away, and now that's going to look a little bit different. Some of those guys are going to struggle to find roles, and that's something I've let these freshmen know is there's an increased chance that we're going to have to look at a 5-year plan here as opposed to 4. But the draft obviously plays in there. If a guy's got a lot of potential, sometimes you're just wasting a year. That Griff, our catcher, is a good example. He's going to be he was a 4th-year junior this year, and had the draft not been beyond a Pro Bowl right now, so the red shirt may not have benefited him as much. So it's a tricky conversation, and that's why I think it's important to involve these guys in the decision-making process. What about, I guess, Chase, Zach, and you guys have, I don't know, I think Coach Jackson might have done it a little differently. I'm not sure, but what went into your process of redshirting, or for you, Zach, playing right away?
For me, yeah, I think we were probably a good 15 games into the season, and I just hadn't played yet. So I figured I was getting redshirted, and then another teammate told me he overheard Coach saying I was getting redshirted. So
for me, it was kind of a little bit different. It was a little different. He didn't really have a conversation with you. It was more of if you're going to travel and you might get the chance to play and you might not. So that's what Coach Bushell's trying. It's really nice. He reaches out to the guys and says, hey, you'll play, but you might not travel the first 2 weekends, but you'll have a chance to play sometime in the year. But yeah, I went the first weekend and then I got in. So that was pretty much it for me.
All right. Well, we probably want to be respectful of everybody's time. Appreciate guys being on. If we didn't bore you too badly, pass it along to teammates, things like that. Really appreciate guys getting on. And like I said, I think if you ever have a chance to swing by a practice or a game, love to introduce you to some of these guys in person. They're a pretty impressive group, and I feel pretty lucky to be a part of coaching them. We'll do this again in 2 weeks. Try to bring up some new stuff, but again, if anybody's not getting emails, teammates, things like that, have them contact Garrett or I directly. We'll try to get it corrected. We're trying to shore that up. But Garrett, anything else we can hit on?
No, just yeah, the biggest thing. Let's continue. Let's drive attendance to this. I mean, we have about 500 baseball letter winners out there, and we're under 30 last call, and we're at 20 today. So it's really critical, for a Division I head coach to use his time and to rally the troops and get people excited about the program. This is a big deal. So let's continue to drive more people to this outlet and engage with the program. There's many ways to engage through, obviously writing checks or coming to practice, getting involved, and getting back to your program, because it's at the end of the day, it's your program. So we're excited. We'll see you guys hopefully in 2 weeks on June 30th. That's 4:00 Eastern. So Jordan, anything else?
No, I appreciate it again, guys. I know there's a lot of things that tug at your time, so spending some time with our guys means a lot. And Zach, Chase, thanks for getting on here. You guys don't have anything to do. You got plenty of time on your hands, but for the guys that jumped on to get to know them, we appreciate it.
Yeah. Just before we get off here, I just want to say, on behalf of all of us, really, we appreciate everything you guys do for us. The program just wouldn't be the same without you guys, and we're just blessed with everything that we have, and it all helps. So thank you.
I would also say, if you do come to a game, feel free to reach out to Coach Bishel and just, talk to the team, because I think the biggest thing is having pride in CMU. I mean, I love CMU so much, and I think there's some guys on the team that don't really understand how much, how big of a group Central Baseball really is. And, when Jay talked to us, he said all the stories he had and stuff like that, it opened eyes for some guys, and even got, the freshmen that had no understanding of what CMU baseball was or how big the community was. It was nice for them to really see, hey, there are so many people out there that have so much pride in Central Michigan, and I'm happy to be one of those people, and I'm trying to get guys to understand that. But to have you guys come in and share your experiences, it's definitely nice for the guys to see that.
Sometime in this phone call, Chase, your hat seemed to find its way in the other direction. So you probably got a few guys that played that are wondering who the punk is in the picture there. But
yeah, it's just me.
Obviously, Jordan, you picked the two kids with zero personality, so good job.
Yeah.
Good job, Chase. Good job, Zach. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks everyone.